Hey, Pika. Early to the party? Apparently so. Clearly you are. So, you should leave and come back in a few minutes. Leave and come back later, PK. I'm kidding. Don't do that, PK. Don't leave. Don't leave me! I'm so lonely. I'll help you set up the party. Thanks. You can spike the punch. Alternatively, you can spike these nuts. Hey, Vanna! Fell asleep during trivia? Oh. Well, I'm glad I helped you sleep. Woke up right when I handed it. That does tend to be that is a common experience I have with women. They wake up right when I'm finishing. My voice is the only sedation one could need. Just didn't take my noon nap. Fair enough. Man, this shit's good. Not gonna lie, I really like this Pop Shop cream soda. Hey, Color Purple is real good. I just kind of wish the bottles were bigger. Hey, Jackie and Charles. Why is it red if it's cream soda? I don't know. That's just the color that cream soda is in. No, they add artificial color, I think. Yeah, they add amaranth for color. So, I don't know why cream soda is red. just is, I guess. How cold is it there? It's getting pretty cold. Actually, that's actually not too bad today. Yeah, I was able to walk to the store, and it wasn't too bad. Love cream soda. I know, it's really cold. Or it's really good. Cream soda is really good. Am I a fan of root beer? No, I'm not a fan of root beer. Never had root beer. I don't think I would like it. I don't think I would enjoy root beer. My main experience with root beer is that, like, my main knowledge of root beer comes from that scene in Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Where Quark and Garrick talk about it and find it vile. So, anyway, yeah, I suspect I probably wouldn't enjoy root beer. Like it on occasion. Fair enough. Cream soda's nice. Cream soda's really good. I love cream soda. On a random note, I think I know what my last games for the year are going to be for my for Let's Plays, not for the streams, but for the recorded Let's Play videos. I think I know what I'm going to finish the year out with. I've got the 3 Emily is Away games. And then 3 short games that I'm not going to get into yet. Only 5 people, yeah. Nobody here, nobody loves me. Nobody loves me, everybody hates me. Guess I'll go eat some worms. Gonna go eat some... I don't remember the exact how it went, but... I'll wait for this one last little repeat of the title theme to finish, and then I'll get into the game. So yeah. So yeah, I got a few games to finish out the year, and then beginning January 2nd. Starting January 2nd. Final Fantasy. Wonder if anyone's looking forward to me playing the Final Fantasy games. Especially going all the way back to the start, Final Fantasy 1. The Pixel remasters. I'll be doing the Pixel remasters of the first 6 games. I think I might have missed a... I'm losing people? Yep. Alright. Alright, let's get into it. With 5 straight days... 4 days of parties, plus 1 rendezvous. This one, Viscountess Isabella Poitiers, garden party for the crown. I don't really need to worry too much about... my credibility is still high, so I don't really need to worry too much about credibility yet. And I got cheap Revolution con. Yeah, let's reduce my peril a little bit. Two people paralyzed with weight of rumors. Ooh. Well, that's something I wanna run my interaction with. Blah blah. Blah blah. Yeah, this one seems good. Elizabeth, the painter, seems to find herself at a loss as to the crown's position in the political landscape of Paris. She's looking for advice, which might change which faction the crown courts moving forward. Elizabeth favor. You find yourself in a conversation with Elizabeth and an animated young nobleman. His manners are honestly a little lacking, but he seems to make up for it with his exuberance. His next comment disappears mid-sentence, as his attention is captivated by someone passing by in the hallway. Pardon me, ladies, but the Duchess de Gramont just arrived, and I absolutely must speak with her. Oh, you're off to throw your affections at some beautiful young thing already? Not exactly, he replies with a proud grin. However, my family is in dire straits, and she's fabulously wealthy, so... With that, he leaves in order to initiate a transactional romance of the sort that the world has honestly seen quite a few of already. Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough, dude. Ugh, she sighs. It really feels like everything is coming apart at the seams. Hi, Rebecca. And everyone's just scrabbling for whatever crumbs they can find. What if His Majesty really can't keep France together? I have my daughter, Julie, to think about, and... Does the crown even have any friends left? Or are we really just sailing on a ship that's disintegrating in a storm? At the sound of this question, Therese discreetly steps up behind you and begins to whisper in your ear. Huh. The church is certainly aligned with the crown for the moment. With her counsel complete, your spy mistress returns to the shadows. No matter what you say, whoever Elizabeth ends up reaching out to will gain a small boost of power from her trust alone, even if it doesn't necessarily shift their loyalty. Pink Friday? The hell is Pink Friday? I don't know what the hell Pink Friday is, Rebecca. So, probably not. I know I can weather the storm, but it's not just about me. Hasn't the church always been close to the crown? Huh. You really think I should reach out to the church? That does seem like a good idea. Last I heard, at least, they still cared for us. Hopefully that still holds true. Got a little bit of favor with her. Well, regardless, I should still reach out to the church. No matter their opinion on His Majesty, perhaps they'll just like me personally. Boo. Your conversation continues for a while longer. Black Friday for girls? Ah, I see. But you can tell that Elizabeth's attention has become focused instead on your suggestion. She excuses herself. No, Rebecca. She excuses herself, and you're left to your own devices once more. Perhaps there's something else you can still accomplish at this party. I wish no one a merry anything. It's a Nicki Minaj album? Ah, I see. A couple here is telling stories, some of which have proven to be bawdier than others. If you're willing to brave the risks of impropriety, the rewards might be valuable indeed. Letting Barb High Commission know about this slander. Okay. Your girl, Nikki. Elizabeth the Painter seems to be far more hostile than usual, and needs someone to escort her home. At the moment, it appears that the only person capable of helping her in this time of need is you. Yeah, absolutely. I'll bring her home. Her home, my home, either one's good. The party is winding down. You're slightly tipsy, a little disheveled, and your feet ache, but you think you've conducted yourself about as well as you could tonight. You can hear some of the other guests grumbling angrily about something, but it doesn't really concern you. Pull up in the Sri Lanka? Okay. You say your last goodbyes in the vestibule and get ready to leave. A young man approaches you and manages to stutter. Madame, your friend is drunk. Pardon? And who might that be? Madame Lebrun. She's quite drunk and said that you'd help her get home. Oh, it's Elizabeth that needs my help. But of course! He sighs, visibly relieved that he no longer needs to be responsible for this. He points to the back of the vestibule that you're occupying. Merci, your friend is over there. He leads you to Elizabeth, who's pretending to lean casually against the table, but obviously needs the support. She brightens up when she sees you, but you can hear the other guests rumble and whisper, their anger transferring onto you as well. Boo. Gained a little peril. Boo. Salut, Yvette. Do you want to leave as much as I do? Twerk? I don't twerk. Let's walk home. The night air will help you sober up. Out on the street, you wave to your coachman to head home without you. Given what happened the last time he went home without you, he seems reluctant, but does as he's told. Once you start walking, Elizabeth's bright demeanor disappears. She goes quiet, staring off into the distance and fiddling with her handkerchief. It takes a few minutes before she speaks. Someone said something. I slapped him. I might have also spilled his drink. Hey, Joanna. Well, I bet he deserved it. Uh-huh. She manages to give you a weak smile. He did. It's just that... She stares down at the handkerchief again, collecting her thoughts before she says, It encourages them. They're like dogs chasing a rat. They want to hear you squeak. It lets them feel powerful. I've ignored my detractors for years. I've never lost my temper, hoping that they'd move on to something else. She pauses to curse under her breath. Now it's beyond that. Hating me isn't even anger anymore. It's just part of proving that you're an important lover of the arts. Someone with taste. What's this about me twerking? That it's never going to happen, Joanna. Never gonna happen. I'm not even a person to them. I'm a symbol. The scheming climber who only got her position through royal patronage. And to make it worse, I'm about to do it again. What do you mean do it again? I've been told that Princess Maria of Austria is interested in commissioning me, but no matter how many letters I write to her estate, I can't get a response. This could be a huge opportunity for me, and for some reason I can't get a simple letter past her staff. The new Willy Wonka movie? Didn't watch any of the others, so no. I don't really care about Willy Wonka. However, Princess Maria of Austria is Marie Antoinette's sister. Would I slap Timothy Chalamet's twink cheeks if I had the chance? Probably not. That would be sexual harassment, and that is wrong. You're afraid of reaching out to her for a favor again. Elizabeth nods along, grateful that you understand. That's exactly it. No, I never saw the old Willy Wonka. No. Yay, gained a little favor. Yay. Marie and I have only just started talking again. I can't just start asking her for things. I don't really want to encourage her to... Like, I'd probably succeed, but I don't really want to encourage her to be that one of those people. Then don't. Accept that you won't get this commission. Put your friendship first. Actually. I want to make sure that I don't lose points. Elizabeth lets out a long, shaky sigh. You're right. If I want to stop feeling guilty, then I have to make sacrifices. Thanks for that. I was just so caught up in success that I wasn't thinking about what's important. Fuck off, Rebecca. You fall silent and think to yourself for a while. Monarchy depends on displays of power to survive. Every piece of art glorifying a monarch grants power, not only to them, but to the idea of kings and queens itself. Without Marie Antoinette using her influence to get her way, and without Princess Maria having a great portrait to glorify her, the legitimacy of kings and queens atrophies, just a little. Hey! I apparently reduced the crown's power. You're shaken from your thoughts when you notice that Elizabeth has stopped walking. Looking around, you realize that you've already arrived at her house. So, nightcap? Thanks for your help with that, Elizabeth says, obviously feeling better than before. Alright, just let me know if I need to hit anyone next time. Hi, John. Oh, I definitely will, Elizabeth replies with a devious smile. She quietly opens the door and heads inside her house. After waiting a few seconds to make sure that she's alright, you take off into the night. No nightcap. Back home, your spy mistress Therese is waiting for you outside. You're not sure if it's your imagination, but you thought you saw her talking to someone in the shadows before she turns to you. It's come to my attention that you escorted Madame Lebrun to her home from that party after she had some difficulties. I never took you for a knight in shining armor, but I'm glad to see you're still full of surprises. You're doing very well indeed. Hey, J-Dot. At this rate, if you manage to stay on her good side, she'll likely call upon you again soon. Just be patient. She chuckles to herself. In fact, if the crown prevails in whatever conflagration comes next, your relationship with Madame Lebrun could be your key to a comfortable future. Of course, if the crown falls, it could be a dangerous liability. I trust you'll make the appropriate decisions with that in mind. Lost in thoughts of future dalliances and schemes, you head inside to prepare for bed. All the while, the events of tonight repeat themselves in your mind. Carefully, you take out your diary and begin to write. Hey, Killface! Welcome! Yeah, might as well do this one, I guess. Rather run-of-the-mill interaction with a lone aristocrat at a party. You might find yourself having many like it in the future. I'm probably just going to skip this interaction, honestly. You gracefully slip between tightly knit groups of aristocrats, almost offensive in the combined garish power of their finery. You struggle to find an opening in any particular struggle or circle. Too many unfamiliar faces, and no introductions to be had. You spot an august gentleman by himself in a lonely corner. He seems charming enough.
Ah, bonjour, madame. Are you feeling a touch out of place as well? I've only been in Paris for a few days, and have yet to make any strong inroads with the other titled persons here. Though, that certainly hasn't stopped me from overhearing certain things. But please, enough about me. How are you faring amidst all this?
Yeah, I'm just gonna skip it. It's gonna be, like, by the time I get to sell the gossip, it's gonna be old. So it's... any gossip I pick up at this particular party is useless. Not particularly well. It doesn't feel like I know anyone or anything here.
Really, you know absolutely no one? Truly so. You know no one else here. How dreadful. And how odd,
he says, attempting to conceal his sudden distrust. Ah. Well, poop.
Still, I suppose I have nothing to lose by telling you this.
What? I wasn't even... What? I genuinely wasn't even looking for gossip. We don't need his gossip. We don't, and I still picked it up. I wasn't even trying. Genuinely, I was trying to just, like, avoid doing it. Jesus. With the rumor firmly planted in your memory, you manage to steer the conversation in such a way that you never actually confirm whether or not you've heard it before. Regardless, the two of you talk for some time, and you manage to execute all the necessary niceties in order to be polite. He was sad you didn't initiate. Apparently so! Some people live for it. Apparently he just lives for gossip, yeah. It's just like, but I wanted... It's like, you don't know anyone? But I wanted to gossip. Screw you, I'm telling you anyway. When an appropriate opening in the conversation appears, you slip away to search for other opportunities. Alright, time to get together the Bastille, a looming castle that was once the most infamous prison in all of Paris. Though it barely fills its role as a prison anymore, many still consider it a symbol of tyranny, of repression. Today, a mob of over 1,000 commoners, armed with pikes, kitchen implements, and stolen rifles, attempted to storm the fortress. The Bastille contains hundreds of rifles, dozens of cannons, and ammunition for all of them. It's also extremely undermanned. The guards number barely more than 100. Camped on the Champ de Mars, on the other side of the River Seine, are 5,000 troops in service of the crown, armed and ready for battle. Barely a mile away, if they decide to cross the river to relieve the defenders of the Bastille, nothing would be able to stop them. And that's exactly what they do. At their commander's word, the 5,000 troops form up and begin a swift march across the Pont Saly. They are grim and determined to restore order at any cost. Seeing this enormous force crossing the bridge, many of the attacking militia scatter, and those who don't are quickly trapped in the squares surrounding the fortress. The relief force strikes like a hammer, shattering the nascent citizen army against the looming walls of the Bastille. We fucking shit up on Bastille Day? Seems like they might not have gone as I'd hoped. Historically, they did take the Bastille, I think. By the end of the day, bodies litter the streets, and the revolutionaries have gained hundreds of martyrs to their cause. They have lost the first great battle, but it's too late for them to turn back now. Damn! Crown's gained a lot of power, revolution's lost a lot of power. Damn! And so, in Paris, life is changed forever. You son of a bitch! I lost out on my... The day that I was supposed to meet Anurad! I lost out on my meeting with Anurad! Son of a dickwad! The last 2 weeks have been complete chaos. There's been fighting in the streets. Hey, alien tourist. Roads and alleys are blocked with barricades. The roaring drone of chanted revolutionary slogans merge with orders to disperse, punctuated by screams and gunfire. In the past, you heard so much about glory. Glorious uprisings from one group, and the valor and loyalty unto death from the other. But hiding in your house for the last few days, you have yet to see any of that. As you can imagine, this has put a rather serious damper on your social calendar. No longer receive random party invitations. While the violence stretches on into its own terrifying monotony, you can't help but feel that it's building towards something. Like all of this conflict will finally come to a head. As you consider leaving your house for the first time in weeks, you imagine that the next few days would be a good time to get your affairs in order. To that point, you consider Pierre's humble newspaper, and how his ability to peddle influence may have an effect on the outcome of things. Yeah, let's do this. Let's meet her at Le Grand Taverne de Londres. Luxurious restaurant, this rendezvous location caters to some of the wealthiest and most powerful clientele in all of Paris. It also serves some of the finest food in the city. Try the lamb! Actually, can I get a... Can we go get a hooker? Hey, troll police. Alright. A few weeks ago, people were talking about in the chat. Hey, I never said that she passed away. You arrive at Cafe Principe to find, Principe.
Huh.
There's coffee. It's then that Elizabeth stumbles in, looking exhausted, and sits down at your table. Elizabeth, are you alright? Bonjour, I will take one of the largest, hottest, most invigorating drinks you have. Perhaps two, she mumbles in reply while staring off into space. Merde, she gasps the moment her eyes focus on you. I thought you were the waitress. Well, at least that woke me up, she sighs. What did I eat today? Chicken wings. Marguerite returns with your coffee, takes one look at Elizabeth, and says, I take it that you need one as well. You take a long, deep drink of the invigorating brew, and feel some of your energy return immediately. Yes, please, beautiful angel of steam. Bring me coffee, Elizabeth says to Marguerite, otherwise doing her best to not simply pass out at the table. Shaking her head and trying to contain her laughter, Marguerite leaves to do just that. Elizabeth, are you alright? What's happening?
Uh-huh.
I'm alright, I think. Just haven't been sleeping well lately. Still, thanks for asking. Gain favor.
Huh.
Not one, but two of my patrons have fled the country because they're afraid of some kind of revolution. chicken tenders. Of course, neither hasn't bothered to inform me of the plans, so I had the privilege of finding out by arriving at the house for our next sitting, only to find the place abandoned. Now I have to work double time just to drum up new work, and it's killing me. Do you come here often? Finally, your food is here. Yay! Marguerite returns with Elizabeth's order. The painter slides some coins across the table to her while taking a long drink at the steaming black drink. Quietly, Marguerite leaves the two of you to your business. So, is there anyone you think would like the Queen's personal painter to work for them? If it narrows things down at all, I need someone who isn't going to immediately slam a door in my face. Any new patron of hers would gain influence, but they'd need to be loyal to the crown. What about clients in the military? I guess it's the military. You really think so? That's a great idea. Great idea. The military loves the crown right now, which means my past work with Marie should open some doors. Gain favor with her. Of course, you also know that having one of their leaders painted by Elizabeth and shown off in all of the latest salons will do good things for the military's image. Little moments like these add up, after all. Well, it seems like it's time for me to go out and start looking for introductions until I find a new patron, she says, draining the coffee and sitting up. Thanks for listening, Yvette. With that, she leaves, and you return to your normal business at the cafe. Just listening to the bustling cafe. Be more specific. Someone is reading loudly from a pamphlet extolling the virtues of the king as a surrogate father of the nation, but nobody's really paying attention to him. You get drawn into a conversation about the bourgeoisie and the crown. Merchants in France want the taxes to be simplified to make it easier to move goods around the country. The aristocrats say that the current system keeps the economy stable. What say you? One of the patrons asks you suddenly. The bourgeoisie is right. Easy trade makes a healthier economy. That means a wealthier France. At least one of the people in the discussion feels satisfied with that answer, but not everyone seems pleased. Blah, blah, blah. Hey, I gained... Oh, son of a bitch. Gained favor with Gazelle, lost it with Lebrun. With Elizabeth. Alright, so mostly I was just there to... Oh, hey. Cher Honorade, you should join me on August 3rd for a day spent at La Grande Taverne de Londres. À très bientôt. Hey, she accepted. Aw, thanks. Aw, thanks, Killface. Oh, snap. The Revolution and the Crown are completely even right now. Absolutely neck and neck. There you go. Revolution 3 with bourgeoisie to make 5. Crown 2. 2 for the military, 1 for the church to make 5. Oof. I don't exactly have any room here, Rebecca, so... Alright, let's visit Le Trompette de Peuple. Stories concerning the church. A coalition of members of the bourgeoisie have been investing a large amount of money in hot air balloons. Are they visionaries or just wasting money on ridiculous fancies? Yep, old news, so... Expensive necklace. Yippee. So not making any difference, but... I don't know, Joanna. Eh. Alright, if I'm going to be meeting Anarad, I need something that goes well with over with the bourgeoisie. So this, I guess. Don't trust this guy's mustache. I mean, yeah, fair. It's a few hours before your rendezvous with Madame Gazelle, and you're in your room just starting to get ready. You hear knocking downstairs at the front door. Camille answers it, and you can hear an exchange, but the muttering is too soft for you to make out any specifics. A few moments later, Camille enters your room and whispers, Madame Gazelle is here to see you. Don't worry, I'll delay her until you're ready. Before you can reply, Camille sets off to her new task with gusto, but you're not optimistic about her success, based on what you hear of her stammered attempts at an argument in the stairway. Some moments later, they enter together, with Camille trailing behind Madame Gazelle. Your hapless maid is carrying a large parcel with a bow on it. Madame, you have to understand, I tried to stop her, Camille wails softly. It's true, it was a very sweet attempt, Madame Gazelle admits, reassuring Camille with a light pat on the cheek. Satisfied, she sets her focus on you. Bonsoir, Yvette. I've come bearing gifts. The parcel is placed in your hands, and she continues. This morning, I realized that we're almost the same size. I also know that you, ever as a social butterfly, are always looking for novel outfits to wear at parties. I mean, not going to have many parties going forward, I don't think. I looked at my wardrobe and found that I had something which will look a lot better on you than it does on me. In fact, how do you feel about wearing it tonight? Yeah, let's be flirty. Are you sure that's the only reason you're in my room while I'm still half naked? She barely conceals a smile. I'd considered it, but this was really more of an unexpected bounty than anything else. Hey, you gain favor with her. Go ahead, open it. You open the package to reveal a gorgeous black silk dress. Expensive, and rather revealing, it certainly feels in line with the bourgeoisie. Hey, Honorad's outfit. Honorad pulls a pocket watch from her bodice and notes the time before putting it away. It seems that I've already taken too much of your time. If we want to make it to our rendezvous tonight, you'll need some help getting ready. Don't worry, madame, Camille happily interjects. That's something That will not be necessary, Madame Gazelle interrupts. Your mistress and I shall attend to this ourselves. Her nips are about to pop out. Do you see me complaining? But without another word, Madame Gazelle firmly, but politely, ushers Camille out of the room. As I was saying, let's get you ready. This, of course, isn't the first time anyone has helped you get dressed before. However, those occasions were about comfort and efficiency. A ribbon tied here, a pin placed there. You were the one in control. This is different. Being pulled this way and that, being fussily primped and preened without any consultation to you whatsoever. You're not the one in control here. All that seems to matter is whether your appearance pleases her. Yeah, let's do this. Stay still, silent, stay still, and let her do as she pleases. Honorad continues her ministrations, but you can feel her slowing down. As you sit there, frozen in place, you wonder how one tells the difference between unwavering obedience and boredom. Ah. You look at yourself in the mirror, and you have to admit that Honorad has good taste. She spends some time adjusting your bodice, but before you know it, these adjustments slowly turn into something firmer and more sensual. Yet, the moment you start to submit to her touch, she pulls away, leaving you wanting more. Shall we go? She asks innocently, as if it was all in your imagination. Are you sure, Madame Gazelle? Perhaps we should just stay in. Oh, that is tempting, she leans close to whisper in your ear. But I've already spent far too much effort to have the world miss out on how perfect I've made you look. That warm whisper suddenly turns to ice. So you will do exactly as I say, do you understand? She takes your stunned silence as agreement. Good. I'm glad we understand each other. Together, the two of you head outside, where Renee is awaiting you with Madame Gazelle's carriage. Feeling something strange in your pockets, you reach inside to find a hastily written note that your spy mistress, Therese, must have slipped in there when you passed her in the hallway. It reads, You're clearly making good progress. Keep joining Madame Gazelle on rendezvous, and she's likely to open up to you further. You discreetly hide the note under your stays and turn back to Madame Gazelle. She holds the door open for you, and soon the two of you are whisked off to your destination. After spending the first half of the day getting ready, you head out for your rendezvous. You're neither well-rested nor exhausted. Nothing is holding you back from being your most engaging self. You return to the fine dining room and crystal chain chandeliers of La Grande Taverne de Londres. A few aristocrats glance up from their tables at you and take your measure before returning to their splendid food. Ever since you arrived together, Madame Gazelle has been standing far closer than the rules of politeness might allow. It's easy to forget just how good she is at looming over people. Oh, this is very pleasing, she says, looking at you through narrowed eyes as she slowly circles you like a park panther. You've done quite well. We're going to have to sleep with the madame, aren't we? I mean, I wouldn't say have to. Hope to. Like, I've been working towards this since damn near the beginning of the game. I've been hoping for this since damn near the beginning of the game. Gained a staggering amount of favor with Madame Gazelle. Turning her attention from you, she surveys your location. Oh, I absolutely adore this place, Madame Gazelle says with a sigh. The food is exquisite, the lavish decor is excellent, and you know how much I love being served. It seems that Madame Gazelle already knows the staff quite well, and they have a solid rapport. She orders for you, but the food that they give you is exquisite. At one point, the owner, Monsieur Beauvilliers, comes out to speak with both of you. He cuts a comical figure with his portly stature, twinkling eyes, and a sword on his hip. It seems that he and Madame Gazelle know each other quite well, and he has a special dessert brought to your table as a gift. The two of you split it, but she lets you have the lion's share. A few hours later, you realize that it's starting to get late, and the two of you depart together. Looking at Madame Gazelle, you feel like today went quite well. You notice that Camille has left a letter on your vanity. The wax seal is a deep royal purple, but there are also, you also notice the tiny splatterings of oil paints at the corners of the paper. You break the seal with a deft slice from your letter opener. The messy, nearly illegible handwriting is clearly Elizabeth's.
Cher Yvette, I know this doesn't come at a convenient time, but things as they are in the street, I don't think we'll see something resembling a convenient time for quite a while. I want to see you, and soon.
The letter goes on to describe a location where you could meet her. La Dame de Beaux-Arts. There's now available to visit in the Paris map.
You mean a lot to me, and I just want to find the right way to say it. Bisous, Elizabeth.
You check her directions against your map. It might be possible to meet up with Elizabeth tonight. Alright, let's go meet with her. Elizabeth has requested to meet with you. Normally, she's nervous about being seen close to you in public, but this is unusually forward of her. What could this be about? Actually, before I do that... Yeah, sure, dinner again, I guess. Alright, time to meet with Elizabeth again at La Dame de Beaux-Arts. When you meet up with Elizabeth, you walk together in silence for some time. However, you notice that she's walking closer to you than usual, and generally seems more upbeat.
Lately, I've been considering some of the things you've said to me. About my critics, and how hard it is to ignore all of their remarks. About how I've tried to keep them at bay by feigning indifference.
Oh god, what happened? Do you need me to slap someone? Because I'm ready. Elizabeth just laughs, astonished.
No, it's not that. I just realized that all my time spent feigning indifference has been a mistake.
She pauses to brush away an errant tear.
Indifference isn't working. I need to start defending myself.
Hey, Jordan. She glances down at your hands.
Verbally, that is.
And why not?
I have many clients. I'm essentially the personal painter of Her Majesty's the Queen, and I'm a full member of l'Académie Royale de Peinture et de Sculpture. I'm not even 40 years old, and I've accomplished more than most will in their entire lives. Why should I sit idly by while fools drag my name through the mud?
That's exactly right. Elizabeth favors you with a big happy grin.
I knew you'd like that. I started talking to Marie again, and she told me that my portrait was her favorite. That it was the best painting of her that anyone had ever done.
Are we buying a hooker this evening? No. Probably not. We might not have to. That's the hope, Joanna. That is the hope. Rather than a hooker, I'm trying to get with a wealthy widow. But they have hella gossip. Probably not wrong. You're probably right. Few tears roll down her cheeks, but Elizabeth doesn't seem to notice.
All this time I thought I was a monster, but I'd never hurt my friend. In fact, I gave her exactly what she wanted. The art critics and those boors in the academy, they're the ones who hurt her. I let them blame me until I blamed myself. Realizing this, it's made everything better. Even my paintings are coming easier than before. I'm actually excited about my next 3 patrons. And, well, you've been a big part of that. I'm glad I could help. Looking deep into your eyes, she says, "You really have." She reaches out and loops her arm through your own. The two of you walk arm in arm for a while. Yeah, this lady's already hot for us. Juicy, naughty politician tea. Ever since we started talking again, Marie's been asking my opinion on all sorts of things. She feels like the Crown doesn't have many friends left in France, and doesn't know who they should be reaching out to. What do you think? She keeps asking me, but I'm just a painter. Has she considered taking a softer stance against the revolutionaries? Elizabeth pauses to think about this for a while, tapping her finger against her chin. Reading the newspapers in the morning these days feels like an exercise in masochism, but still you do it anyway. You might as well know what exactly is on the brink of tearing your entire world asunder today. It appears the Archers have been conducting more raids as of late. They're trying to suppress any political organizations or clubs that are advocating radical beliefs. It might be too little too late, but they're trying to maintain some image of authority and unity. Your eyes suddenly stop at a name buried in the middle of the article. Amongst the list of random clubs and societies that have been singled out, one of them is the mysterious and enigmatic Frankish Habsburgian Society. Lesbian relations? Yep, absolutely. Your eyes widen as you reread the article, looking for more details on the fate of Armand society. It seems that many of them have been arrested and are awaiting trial, but there's no mention of either Armand or Johanna. The Archers state that they have not found the leader of this society yet, and are urging the public to come forth with credible leads. You continue on with your day as per usual, but you keep thinking back to that article. Something about it is nagging at you. Habsburg, stay away from them. Yeah, let's get my apparel down a little bit if I can. Excuse me. You spend the day aimlessly wandering the streets and trying to clear your head. You've had a lot to think about lately, and it's becoming hard to keep it all straight. You feel a tension in your breast as you see yet another patrol of archers go by. You've not done anything particularly wrong today, but something about their presence puts you on edge, like you've committed a terrible crime, completely forgotten about it, and now stand on the brink of being discovered. Like most citizens, your main interest in the archers is making sure that they ignore you. However, up ahead you see that someone else has chosen a different approach. 2 uniformed and armed men stand over a battered fellow who's sitting on the ground between them. The man arguing with the archer is a young soldier. Judging by his uniform, he appears to be a member of the Queen's Royal Dragoons.
I said stand down!
The watchman growls, taking a single step towards his opponent.
Since when do I have to listen to the likes of you? The dragoon replies. I found this man cutting purses, I apprehended him, and I shall deliver him to the prisons myself.
The thief in question is sitting on the ground between them. His clothes are rumpled, and a strike to the face has split his lips open, but he looks rather resigned to his fate. At least, as long as 2 heavily armed men are standing directly over him.
What did you say?
Their argument continues apace, and you're starting to see the problem. Soldiers and the city watch aren't of the same organization, and there's no real guide as to who is supposed to be obeying who here.
In a time of heightened security, this line gets even blurrier. The fact that a soldier performing an arrest makes the gay royal look incompetent is likely a factor here as well. You notice the men shift their feet, and their hands start to tighten about the grips of their weapon. This could get ugly. Again, I want to make sure I don't get... Messieurs, surely it's possible for you to take this villain in together, no? They both break away from their argument to eye you, then examine each other.
I suppose that could be possible, if you are amenable to such an arrangement.
Oh. I suppose that could be possible, if you are amenable to such an arrangement, the Dragoon ventures.
As long as we can bring this villain to my station, I think we can work something out,
the archer replies, casually kicking the thief on the ground to emphasize his point. The cut-purse yells in protest at this unnecessary abuse, but nobody else seems to notice. Nothing could be more sensible. I'm glad you were willing to see reason. Well, you were the one to help them see reason, but you decide to not let that get in the way of their mutual self-celebrations. They both give you a small bow of acknowledgement, so that's nice at least. The duo happily marches away together, dragging the hapless thief in tow towards judgment and some terrible fate after that. Probably branding. That seems to happen a lot. You, however, are left in the street, wondering what happens in a city where even those tasked with keeping order can't work together. Paris continues, in fits and starts, to burn. You spend your copious free time poring over what little snippets of news you've managed to pick up over the last few days. At this moment, it looks like the Crown will simply be unable to weather the coming storm. The revolution's momentum has become too great, and their alliances too strong. This is not happy news, as the public is simply unsure of your loyalty to the revolution. Still, whatever happens next, you can be assured that the ship of state shall come to port in a sea rend by torrents of blood. And so, Paris continues to burn. Cheap gossip, but only type I can get at this point. Some cheap Crown gossip. Knock on the door. Open it, madame! Camille calls cheerily from downstairs as she goes for the door. You suddenly hear Camille gasp. Then there's the distinctive sound of her running up the stairs to your room. Madame! Madame! You won't believe it! Monsieur Armand is here! Camille, when was the last time you saw him? Oh, the last time I saw him must have been a few days before you arrived. It would have been the night he disappeared. It was the same night those men came to attack him in the middle of the night. Armand enters your bedroom not long afterwards, greeting you with a gentle kiss on the cheek. Bonjour, ma chérie. Oh, it's so good to be back here, even if it's for but a moment. Camille, if you'll excuse us? Oui, monsieur, she replies with a curtsy before she leaves the two of you to your business. As you can imagine, I'm not just here for a social call, Armand admits. I know it was dangerous for me to come here, especially given all that's happened recently. But what I'm about to say next simply had to be discussed in person. Our society hoped to advance our cause by slowly building consensus within the État Général. However, as the time for that is long past, we can't build consensus when people are killing each other in the streets. After Johanna's disappearance and the raids on our society, our difficulties have only grown. In fact, I think the only reason I was able to escape the raids myself was because I was out warning everyone after the discovery we made when you came over for dinner. If you hadn't visited, he trails off and shudders at the possibility. What's important is that it's still possible for us to accomplish something useful amongst this uncertainty, but it won't be easy. To put it simply, we'll have to play both the Crown and the Revolution at the same time. And something like that requires A mutual enemy? You're as shrewd as ever, he laughs to himself, never taking his eyes off you. We may not be able to bring about our original plan, but we can get both the revolutionaries and the Crown to draft a close military and trade alliance with Austria, as well as guaranteeing the safety of the Queen and her children. We might even be able to secure open borders between our two nations. This could help a lot of people. The Crown and the revolutionaries agreeing to the same thing? How? That's the funny thing about politics. Despite every rattled saber and every declaration of allegiance and purity, there are always secret messages and discussions going on between enemies. Most leaders would rather negotiate, even if the terms aren't always agreeable. Sadly, to the negotiating table, let us find a compromise. Doesn't rally one's base like, to arms, let us seize what is ours by right. So, those same leaders simply negotiate in secret. Yeah. Ugh. Ugh. Gotta say, having walked to the grocery store today, gonna be interesting to see if how my back feels tomorrow. Gonna be real interesting to see how my back feels tomorrow. Even in times of open war, the conversation never stops. The stakes merely grow more dire. This is, of course, where our plan becomes underhanded. What we need for this is someone that we know well, who is already under suspicion by society. By framing them as a threat that we discovered, we can bring both the Crown and the Revolution to the negotiating table long enough to get our demands. Right now, our best choice for this deception is Elizabeth Lebrun. She's already earned the ire of the public, and she was once close to the Queen. We could say that this all comes from a desire for revenge after being cast out. Framing her as someone conspiring against the nation will help us save many lives. However, it also means that she would likely be imprisoned for life, or executed. We need someone close to her to initiate this. Can I count on you, ma chérie? No! Yep, no! Armand, are you seriously asking me to frame an innocent woman?
Huh.
Armand looks at you gravely. Yvette, please. You know that the only reason I'm proposing this is because it's our only option. We can save many lives, and this plan is the only way that either group would deign to speak with the Frankish Habsburgian society. Good for me to walk, but the core is the important part to fighting back pain. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, my back doesn't feel any worse right now. It felt like, when I first started walking, I was like, ooh, this is painful. Yeah, when I first started the walk to the grocery store, I was like, oh, this is painful. This sucks. By the time I got to the grocery store, it was back to the normal, just dull pain. Same pain I feel just, whenever I stand up. No worse than usual. I'm just wondering if it'll be worse tomorrow. Please, can you help me? I can't do this. I may have few scruples left, but this is just wrong. I see. Your fiancé replies as he hangs his head. Honestly, I had hoped that you'd see the value of our ends here, but no matter. I'm sorry, my darling, but I must take my leave then. There's much that I still need to do before this day is through. he says as he gives you a quick kiss on the cheek. I merely hope that I can still manage to do some good while we still have the chance. With that, Armand leaves, and the rest of your day is still in front of you. Preserving one life, perhaps at the cost of many others? Was that right? Especially because if the revolution wins, Elizabeth's still gonna get killed. But slowly you get ready for the day, plagued by pangs of doubt. Still, you move on. While this decision may trouble you, that doesn't mean that the world has slowed down at all. There's always more to do. Decrease the power of the ground slightly. Yippee. Stretching before you do anything helps. Yeah, I never remember to do that. Rendezvous! Oh my! Oh. I look good in black. Gotta say, I look real nice in black. It's a very large dress. That is a very big dress. Hey, scapegoat. But, no, I don't know. I think I look good in black. Boo, credibility down. You return to the fine dining, blah blah blah. Looking around, you see that Honorat arrived long before you did. Noticing you, she approaches and stands far closer than the rules of politeness might allow. You'd forgotten how good she is at looming over people. Oh, this is very pleasing. You've done quite well. Blah blah blah, all the same shit. After the rendezvous, Madame Gazelle insists on giving you a ride back to your home. She's more energetic than usual. Yvette, what would you do if you suddenly had a vast fortune? Wealth is influence. With that wealth, I would bend the world to my liking. Again, I don't want to risk losing... I couldn't agree more. One can only have so many things, but beyond that wealth is for shaping the world. Every day we say things like, hey Liquor Deli. A day's wage, or it's worth my time. Money has always been the hours of human lives, wrapped into numbers. Something that precious should be used carefully to build something better. Of course, you already know that none of my questions are truly idle. These last few weeks I've been doing my best on learning how to manage my son's fortune. I finally feel like I actually know what I'm doing. And no, I didn't put any money into wallpaper importing. I've reached a point where I know that I'm safe to make my own decisions, and doesn't feel like Charles' fortune anymore. I retired to my home, and it doesn't feel like his house anymore. Everything truly feels mine. And something about that leaves me feeling torn.
You're afraid that you're forgetting him?
That's exactly it, she says with a sad smile. I'm afraid that I'll forget him.
Aww.
I know it's ridiculous, but that doesn't make me dread the possibility any less. Of course, while I can actually manage the finances, what I don't have is a purpose. The very nature of being wealthy means that my decisions affect a world much bigger than my own, even when I don't intend to. But all I've determined is that I should be doing something with my fortune, other than indulging myself. After all, I have you for that.
Hi.
Every day it feels like Paris is being pulled between such different visions for the future. And I think the revolutionaries are right. They're the people, and so am I. Absolutely. The people are the real lifeblood of France. Without their liberty, we have nothing. She does care about Charles. She loved Charles. She adored Charles. She blinks a few times, taken aback by her sudden zeal. I must admit I didn't take you to be such an ardent nationalist. Still, you're right. I'll see what I can do to make sure my spare funds support suitably revolutionary causes. Oh, I've lost credibility. Bourgeoisie has moved towards the revolution by quite a lot. Good, good. She smiles, satisfied. This is the kind of savvy I appreciate in you. I'd also like to thank you for your patience. I imagine that most of your past romantic dalliances didn't involve someone bringing up their departed spouse so much. Well, no, but I mean, one of my past romantic dalliances didn't have a spouse. Like, I am their one of them I am their future spouse. The other one has a living spouse who's cheating on with me behind his back. Hey, Joel. So, they didn't bring up their departed spouse because they didn't have a departed spouse. But one of them does have a husband who doesn't know that I'm banging his wife. At least, for your sake, I hope not. Actually, would you mind telling me more about Charles? He was vivacious, kind, and indulgent. Life just burned inside him like a furnace. He was always looking for some new hill to conquer. Of course, it drove him mad to sit still, which sometimes led to him driving me mad, but that was all right. When I was first trying to teach myself how to manage my affairs, I read Charles' journals to see what he was thinking when he made all of his decisions. I always knew he was wound a little tight, but I had no idea how afraid he actually was. To him, the world was always 2 steps from complete disaster. He always had to be taking charge and guiding things to a proper path. Her reverie turned to a wistful smile. I suppose that would explain why his carnal tastes were so opposite. It was the only place he felt safe enough to let go. Oh. So they have that kind of sex life. You lurch forward in your seat as the carriage comes to a halt. Pulling aside the dark curtains, you see that you have arrived at your home. Renee opens the door and helps you down out of the carriage. As you turn around to say goodbye, you notice Madame Gazelle's hand hanging down in front of you, expectantly. Oh yeah, kiss the back of her hand. You bend down low and kiss the back of her hand. That hand wraps around your chin and pulls your head upwards, and you find yourself with Madame Gazelle staring down at you. Good girl, she murmurs, low. She presses her lips against yours, gently seizing the back of your head with her free hand. Her touch is gentle, but firm. She lets go of the back of your head and resumes gently holding you by the chin. You may go for now. I will avail myself of you again soon enough. Letting go, she gives a silent signal to Rene, who remounts his coachman's box, cracks his whip, and soon her carriage disappears into the night. It's then that you turn around and realize that Camille has been standing there the entire time. Standing stock still, she holds the door open for you, her cheeks flushed red. Did you enjoy yourself, madame? Why, Camille? Is that jealousy I hear in your voice? What? No, of course not, madame. I'm simply not sure if a woman of your station should let themselves be handled like that, she says, failing to meet your gaze for the entire sentence. That answer feels suspiciously incomplete, but you'll let it pass. For now. Does Camille have a crush? I mean, she's cute. If you want to be the one handled like that, I'm sure I can handle you. Camille lets you inside and you head upstairs to your bedroom. Curious thoughts drift through your head as you write down the evening's events in your journal. Your writing is interrupted by Therese entering the room.
Huh.
Oh, strange. I never took Camille to be a girl of such nervous disposition, but something clearly has her quite flustered. Your spy mistress comments to herself, glancing back into the hallway before shutting the door. I think Camille wants me to handle her. More to the point, it seems like Madame Gazelle is stepping even further into the public eye. If you wish to pursue your clandestine romance with her further, I would advise looking for her at a bourgeoisie party. There are no more parties, it said. With that, she gives you a simple curtsy and leaves you to the rest of your note-taking for the evening. The violence in Paris has only gotten worse, which is often the case in times like these. Judging from the hopeful murmurings you hear in the street, it appears that the revolution is significantly more powerful than the crown. Of course, rarely does one group hold power alone, and the minor factions of France appear to be finally picking their sides. As expected, the church is supporting the crown, whatever good that might do. The church is greatly diminished versus years past, but all the same, priests regularly issue sermons exhorting their flocks to stand fast in support of their rightful king. As one would surmise, the bourgeoisie has fallen in line behind the revolution, but in a weak and disorderly fashion. A small council of merchants, scholars, and doctors has spoken out against His Majesty, and have refused to pay taxes until the revolution's demands are met. The officer corps of the military, composed mainly of nobles, has managed to keep control of their units, and place themselves at the service of the crown. However, years of mismanagement and skit pay has sapped their strength. Still, professional soldiers are always an asset in quelling an uprising. And so, Paris continues to burn. Hey, Roxanne. While your own progress has ground to a halt, it feels like the advancement of time around you has only sped up. Last year, in October, thousands of angry women launched from Paris, mostly armed with homemade pikes, to besiege the palace at Versailles. The crown, lacking power and useful allies, had a skeleton crew of guards left to defend themselves. The king met with the crown and even had food delivered to them from the royal stores. But after months of famine, they were no longer satisfied with a simple meal. Late in the night, they stormed the palace, killed what guards they found, and captured the royal family. This angry mob escorted the royal family back to Paris, growing more agitated by the minute. Only the gallant intervention of the Marquis de Lafayette prevented further violence. Now more recently, this revolutionary fervor has reached the highest levels of nobility, with the abolition of all noble titles, orders, and other symbols of the ancien regime. Scores of young nobles have pledged their lives to the cause of liberty, and have willingly cast aside their own privileges in the name of reforming the nation. It is a heady time, indeed. Monarchist elements of the nobility have been angered and alienated by this move, but their influence upon the country dwindles every week. And so, Paris continues to burn. Jesus Christ! Last night, a sleepy commune named Varennes made history. For the last 2 years, the king and his family have been confined to Tuileries, their palace in Paris, in order to keep them under the close watch of revolutionary leadership. Last night, the royal family disguised themselves, escaped their guards, and took a carriage headed to France's border with the Austrian Netherlands. However, over 100 miles into their journey, their plan was undone. The king, who was disguised as a servant, was unmasked by a local postmaster, who recognized His Majesty's face from a royal seal. It has come to light that His Majesty and his family were fleeing towards a citadel containing over 10,000 troops still loyal to the crown. Their plan was to amass a counter-revolutionary army. As the king and his family were escorted back to Paris, they were greeted without cheers and without jeers. Instead, for the first time in their lives, they were greeted only with silence. Any sympathy that once remained for them amongst the common people has gone. And so, Paris continues to burn. So I think we've reached the end of the game. Less than a year after the events in Varennes, a physician named Joseph Ignace Guillotine proposed a device. A device that will decapitate the condemned, quickly and cleanly. No longer will they twist and choke at the end of the hangman's rope. No longer will a missed strike from the executioner's blade leave a screaming man begging for a second swing. This guillotine kills instantly, for if one is to die, it should be done humanely. In fact, this device has already claimed its first life. A highwayman named Nicolas Jacques Pelletier, who was found guilty of murder, robbery, and rape. By all accounts, he was a wicked man. In fact, the crowd that watched his death was unsatisfied with his execution. It was too clean, too quick, too clinical. Perhaps they shall have to witness this guillotine at work a few more times before they warm to it. And so, Paris continues to burn. October 16th, 1793. It has been a year and a half, and the people of France have truly warmed to this guillotine. 9 months ago, His Majesty the King, Louis XVI, was found guilty of many crimes against the nation in a near-unanimous vote. In a separate hearing, the vote stood overwhelmingly for his death. Even the former Duc d'Orléans, His Majesty's own cousin, voted for his execution. Days later, he was sent to the scaffold. As the king's severed head was held aloft, a mob rushed to dip their handkerchiefs in the blood pooling beneath it, as some believed the blood of kings to have magical properties. 2 days ago, Her Majesty the Queen Marie Antoinette was found guilty for crimes against the nation. The crimes she stood accused of ranged from the trivially mundane to the ludicrously foul. Her lawyers were given less than a day to prepare her case. After being executed in front of a jeering crowd, her body was thrown into an unmarked grave. Surely now, with the old monarchy dead and the nobility abolished, the revolution's work is done? And so, Paris continues to burn. December 15th, 1793. Your morning preparations are interrupted by the sounds of loud crashes and discontent outside. Normally, this wouldn't be so strange, but this time the sounds are close. Uncomfortably close. Ever since the revolution executed the king and queen, the revolutionary courts have been overseeing a steady stream of potential traitors against the new republic. The trials are quick, as are the executions that follow. You look out the window and see members of the city watch forcibly tearing people from their homes and gathering them in the middle of the street. Your blood runs cold at the sound of a heavy fist banging against your front door. I'll get it, Camille calls out from downstairs. Before you can stop her, you hear her opening the front door downstairs. This is immediately muffled by the sounds of a struggle. Pretty sure I'm dead. You stir at the sound of tramping boots. Someone is coming up the stairs. A member of the city watch bursts in, clutching an official notice in his fist. Yvette de Cole, you stand accused of high crimes against the people of France. Please, monsieur, just give me a moment to... You gasp as he grabs you roughly by the wrist in the middle of your sentence, and immediately starts dragging you outside. Your attempts to bargain with him fall on deaf ears. Just before he drags you out of your bedroom, you manage to grab your traveling bag. It contains your journal and a pencil, along with Johanna's mysterious letter and the signet ring you found under the floorboards in the kitchen. Not long afterwards, you find yourself alone in a jail cell. You try to contemplate which indignity is greater, the fact that you're still only dressed in your foundation garments, or the fact that you still haven't had breakfast yet. Taking a seat in your new bed, you wonder what this trial will be like. How does one even prove their loyalty to the revolution? You do know one thing, though. Whatever awaits you in that trial, you must succeed. Your very life hangs in the balance. December 19th. The next morning, you find yourself dragged into a crowded courtroom. It takes a second to realize that it's the most people you've seen at once in weeks. Looking around, you survey the crowd, feeling rare flashes of familiarity at some of their faces. It's likely you've seen them at various splendid parties over the years. Has it really been that long? Your life in Paris feels like it's just flown by. Yet it feels eons from your life in the country. A judge at the front of the courthouse clears his throat, jolting you from your reverie. Ah yes, you're supposed to be dissuading them from making you a head shorter. That's why you're here.
Pay attention, everyone, and return to your seats. I shall have order in my courtroom. The case we have before us is quite out of the ordinary. Still, I shall not allow this folly to sully the decency of these proceedings. Citizen Yvette Decaux, you stand accused of leading a conspiracy against the people and the nation itself. This is a high crime indeed.
Leading a conspiracy against the entire nation? What is going on here?
Should you be found guilty, the judge continues sternly, you shall be sentenced to death. How do you plead?
Innocent, Your Honor. He pauses to squint at you, examining you carefully.
Duly noted.
Gained credibility, hurrah. The public prosecutor shall now make his opening statements.
Thank you, Your Honor.
The prosecutor says as he strides into the center of the room with a practiced ease.
I am Antoine Fouquier-Tinville, and it is my duty to bring the enemies within our midst to justice. The woman who stands before you, a well-known associate of the monarchist painter Elizabeth Vigée-Lebrun, is charged with organizing and leading a group of counter-revolutionary fanatics.
At this declaration, the jury gasps and mutters darkly amongst themselves. It appears that being especially close to a well-known confidant of the crown may not have been the safest choice.
Instead of living at peace within the bosom of the Republic, which had provided for her their subsistence, and instead of obeying the laws, she instead plotted against the revolution, and against the eternal principles of liberty and equality, which are its basis. Citizen Decaux, is it true that you were engaged to a citizen Armand de Marbeau?
This is tempting, honestly. I was, monsieur, but I haven't seen him in months. I want to maximize my chances of survival, so.
Oh, really? Prosecutor Fouquier, do you have any conclusive evidence that shows Citizen Decaux was in contact with her fiancé for the last few months?
I do not, Your Honor.
Then I must ask you to redirect your line of questioning,
the judge growls impatiently. The jury takes note of this, and you can hear them murmuring in their approval of you.
Moving on, it is known to us that your fiancé's actions were done in service to a traitorous group called the Frankish Habsburgian Society.
You attempt to keep your face blank, but your mind races. How exactly does he know all of this?
This group aimed to suborn a great nation to the monarchy of the Austro-Hungarian Empire.
The cause is counter-revolutionary by definition, and would have made slaves of us all. Did you ever do anything to aid or abet this cabal of fanatics?
No, I did not.
Really?
If you have any evidence to prove these ridiculous claims, I would like to see it. The jury murmurs in agreement. All of this sounds so far-fetched in spite of the hidden realities. Gain some credibility. You smile to yourself. There's no way he could know about the assistance who provided Armand at that meeting of his. Not unless...
Have no fear, Citizen Deco. I have a witness who can do just that. However, I shall produce them later.
Yeah. I bet I know who that witness is.
There is also, of course, the question of your puzzling finances. It is known to the court that you lived alone, separate from your fiancée for some time. Or, at least, it appears that way. You possess no great fortune, you had no husband to support you, and yet you are able to maintain your own estate, complete with servants.
You're not certain if it's really fair to call your tumble-down home an estate, but that doesn't seem to be stopping him.
It is also known that you made yourself intimate with the highest tiers of society in the ancient regime. There you moved amongst them, bedecked in their garish finery. Such things are not cheap. Given your alleged leadership of a dangerous cabal of fanatics, funded by foreign agents, it would not be hard to imagine that these foreign powers supported you financially. To my point, did you receive money from a foreign power?
Of course not. I had a job with La Trompette de Peuple.
La Trompette de Peuple, the newspaper. You what? You worked for...
This is, of course, difficult to prove. Part of the reason you could maneuver so effectively through Paris high society is because of your work was conducted off the books. However, you don't need to convince this fool of that. You merely need to convince the jury. To that end, they seem to be nodding along quite thoughtfully. You generally seem disavowed of suspicion on this particular count. Slowly, the whispered conversations in the various corners of the courtroom spiral out of control. Soon you can barely hear yourself think above the din. Just as the crowd builds to an unbearable volume, the judge raises his hands and shushes people, slowly bringing the courtroom to order. Slowly, Prosecutor Fouquier stalks back to his seat. The judge stands up and shakes his head in disappointment.
Settle down, everyone. We shall take this time to call for recess.
He groans.
Prepare to readjourn within half an hour.
Bet that it's Armand. Oh, it's not Armand. It's gonna be Johanna. It's gonna be Johanna. That bitch Johanna. See, she saw which way things are going, and she was determined to survive. So she sold out the Habsburg. So she absolutely sold out the Frankish Habsburgian Society. The courtroom quickly empties out as people take the time to stretch their legs. However, you decide to remain in place, as you don't actually have anywhere to go. Just as you begin to settle in, a cheery voice rings out behind you. Madame, you're alive! Camille bounds up to you, carrying a small basket with her. I heard you were being tried at the courthouse, so I came as quickly as I could. From what everyone was saying outside, it sounds like things aren't going too poorly for you. I thought you might be hungry, so I brought lunch, tea, and wine. Would you like any? It's at this point that you remember that you haven't eaten since you were apprehended. Merci beaucoup, Camille. I would love some lunch and tea. Camille pours you a cup of tea from a teapot that she's somehow managed to keep warm. This tea is strong, hot, and you almost immediately feel more invigorated. It'll be easier for you to be your charming and engaging self. The moment you bite into the lunch that Camille prepared for you, your hunger returns in full force. You devour the meal almost instantly. This welcome repast, however, is interrupted by a figure looming over you. So, meet again with it. It really is a shame that someone managed to connect you to this Frankish Habsburgian society. That bloodthirsty prosecutor has even gotten it into his head that you're the leader. What a tragedy. Imagine you being wrongfully executed as the leader of a society you were never even a member of. Well, at least now the authorities will stop searching for us entirely, and it'll be so much easier for the Frankish Habsburgian society to rebuild and continue its work. In fact, I imagine Armand will be extremely distraught by your passing, and might even need a shoulder to cry on. At first he'll be upset about my testimony, but that'll pass. In time he'll understand that this was just a necessary evil. After all, I can be very convincing. So why don't you be a good little sacrifice and just die for us? Laugh now while you still can, Madame de Jardin. Or should I say, Madame von Holbein. How do you know that name? She hisses at you through gritted teeth. She stops to breathe slowly and recompose herself. No, you have nothing. Absolutely nothing. When this is all over, I will bury you. Soon you'll be forgotten, and I'll be free to do as I please once more. She claps her hands together. Well, looks like the recess is about to finish up. I'll let you enjoy your last meal. Ta-ta, Yvette. With that, she leaves. What a bitch! I really, really don't like that woman, Camille mumbles to herself as she glares daggers at Johanna's back. Before you can reply, a guard ushers Camille to a back seat at the back of the courtroom, and everyone else starts to take their seats. Your final challenge is about to begin. The judge stands before the court as the recess comes to a close.
Order in my court! The trial of Citizen Yvette Decaux is now back in session.
The judge takes a seat, and from across the courtroom, you can see Prosecutor Fouquier already striding to the center of the room, with a vicious gleam in his eye.
To begin, the prosecution would like to call to the stand Citizen Maximin Detomes.
The assembled crowd whispers excitedly amongst themselves as Maximin proudly strides to the center of the room. When you first met him, he was an influential man, and that has only grown with the revolution's victory. Whatever he's doing here, it cannot be good.
Citizen Detomes, do you swear to tell the whole truth without hatred and without fear?
Offended she shares my name. She has an H in it, though. She's Johanna. She's not Joanna. She's Johanna. That extra H changes everything. It's the H that's evil. That H is evil.
Ah, but of course.
As the prosecutor prepares to question this witness, you can't help but notice that Maximin hasn't stopped staring at you since he walked in. Citizen Maximin, please describe in your own words the events that took place in February of 1789.
It was late at night, and I was hosting one Citizen de Marble for dinner. When the meal was concluded, he asked if he could speak to me alone.
Did you find anything unusual about this request?
Not at all. Plenty of grasping types attempt to court my favor, so this wasn't a surprise. Once we were alone, he started talking about our mutual interest in curbing the influence of the monarchy. While I agreed at first, he then launched into this tirade about Austro-Hungarian Empire and how much the French people stood to benefit.
It didn't take long for me to realize that he was seriously proposing that we merge our country with another. That we'd give up the political autonomy of France! He snorts derisively at the thought. Obviously, a man of my purely revolutionary notions could never have been swayed by such honeyed lies. So I demanded to know who put him up to this ridiculous plot. Armand never said who, but he said that he was but a representative of this Frankish Habsburgian society. He tried to claim the group was a revolutionary because it was run by this intelligent woman of humble origins. Nevertheless, I cast him out and demanded that he never speak to me again. Overacting is fun. While you know that last part isn't completely true, he certainly seems to believe the rest of it. Do you have reason to believe that you know who the mastermind behind this so-called society would be? I do. Yvette de Caux visited my abode but a week later, inquiring after her Armand. She's a woman of unusual intelligence for her sex, and certainly of a humble background. It only makes sense that she's the ringleader. Never in your life have you been so insulted by a compliment. Merci beaucoup, Citizen de Towns. The prosecution rests. Citizen de Caux, you shall be given the right to ask a single question of the witness. Oh, joy of joys. A single question. How generous of them. I'm just curious about the answer to this one. What compelled you to lie about the fact that you invited Armand back a second time? The jurors collectively gasp at this. That was certainly a rather vital detail for him to omit. You dare call me a liar, you insolent fool! Man, it's a tough one, because this one gets, like, credibility, but also peril. Do you have actual evidence that I'm the ringleader, or is this just guilt by association? Oh, well, you see. No, I do not. However, my suspicions are almost never wrong. Maximin sees, as you can all hear the jury mumble doubtfully about this particular sentiment.
Citizen de Tomes, if you have some proof that's more substantial than hearsay and a supposition, I demand that you provide it immediately.
Well, I don't have any. Are you happy?
No, I most certainly am not. Citizen de Tomes, you are dismissed. We shall discuss your conduct here at a later date.
The judge glares at Maximin as the former baron slinks away. With that, the judge takes a seat, and you watch Prosecutor Fouquier return to the center of the courtroom, a confident swagger in his step. The prosecution would like to call Johanna Dujardin to the witness stand. Johanna approaches the center of the court and affixes you with a steady stare.
Citizen Desjardins, do you swear to tell the whole truth without hatred and without fear?
Nothing would give me greater pleasure, Your Honor. Sensing none of the venom dripping from Johanna's words, the judge takes a seat. Just looking at this woman causes a pain to grow in your chest, like a snake coiling around your heart. What is she plotting? In your own words, can you please tell the court what you observed in the summer of 1789? At that time,
time, I was living on the western side of the city with Armand de Marble. During my time living with him, I observed many suspicious instances. He frequently held meetings with various unscrupulous persons. Meetings that, I learned later, were traitorous to the interests of France.
You seem familiar with what the people were discussing. Did you yourself take part in any of these traitorous meetings?
Oh, absolutely not! However, I did happen to read a few of the letters that Armand had left scattered around our residence together.
By the way, lawyer with a wine glass? That is incredibly French. That feels like it's something from, like, today. Like, that feels like modern French court. They probably show up with glasses of wine, you know? Right?
Armand was always so careless, you see. Reading his correspondence, I found that he was still frequently in contact with his fiancée, Yvette, who was living elsewhere in the city. From what I observed, I believe that she is the mastermind behind this fiendish, Frankish, Habsburgian society. That she had deceived him into acting against his best interests, and...
Yes, the prosecutor interrupts, waving his hand dismissively. The court has agreed to look upon Citizen Armand mercifully in exchange for your assistance in finding the leader of this organization. Now, in regards to your claim that the defendant is said mastermind, do you have any evidence to support this claim?
Why, in fact, I do. Early on, I entrusted it to you as evidence of her crimes. It is a letter she sent to Armand, detailing her involvement with this cabal of fanatics. I must confess that I stole this letter from Armand, but I hope that the court will be lenient upon me in light of my contribution to the public good.
Trump court might not be bad. Right? Do not worry, Citizen Desjardins. I'm sure the court can be convinced to see the upright intent behind your transgression. To quote the letter discovered by Madame Dujardin, Armand, the success of the Frankish Habsburgian Society's success hinges on your actions. You must put aside your reservations for the good of our cause. I have worked too hard since founding this great order to let this contemptible uprising of commoners to stand in the way of my ambitions. And at the end, it signed, your partner in conspiracy, Yvette. I think we have no choice but to believe that missive is the product of your nefarious handiwork, Madame Decaux. The jury mutters darkly amongst themselves, and you cannot stop the horror you feel from reaching your face.
I know, Yvette. Your treasonous words truly are shocking. I hardly believed them myself when I read them.
It's a forgery?
Please, look upon your crimes for yourself if you can bear to witness them.
The prosecutor sneers as he shoves the letter in your face. Please look upon your crimes for yourself if you can bear to witness them. You frantically scan the unfamiliar letter and feel your stomach plummet. It even looks like your handwriting. It's not a perfect forgery, but it's close. You look at Johanna's smile. It's the smile of triumph that a predator gives its prey before the end. You look inside your bag with a smile of your own. Johanna may have fooled herself into thinking that she could possibly outwit you, but you already have everything you need to strip her of any such delusions. The prosecution rests your honor. I can do that better. The prosecution rests your honor. The prosecutor takes a seat, and you take a moment to compose yourself. You're almost giddy with anticipation. Hey, J-Dot, welcome back again. I cannot say anticipation without that pause in the middle. As before, the court shall grant you the benefit of a question for the witness. I'm sure you have many questions of it, but you should make this one count. Your Honor, before I question her, I'd like to submit 3 items of evidence. The courtroom gasped at this unexpected declaration. What could you possibly have? Oh, they'll learn soon enough.
I'm sorry, you would like to what?
You'd like to what? Johanna spits. You! Stop this foolishness immediately!
My title is Your Honor, citizen, the judge growls at Johanna. I shall also remind you that I do not answer to your whims. My duty is to find traitors to the Republic and have them removed from our midst. Madame Decaux, what do you have for us? This better be good.
Am I ready for Christmas? I don't give a shit about Christmas. Carefully, you lay out the 3 pieces of evidence you spent months gathering together for just such an occasion. First is the letter you found underneath your kitchen floorboards, detailing the existence of a mysterious Johanna, who is leading the Frankish Habsburgian Society. With that, you introduce the letter that Armand gave you, the one signed by Johanna von Holbein. The handwriting matches that of the first letter, but unfortunately it's written in German.
You are extremely fortunate, Citizen Decaux, the judge chuckles. As a man of learning, I am perfectly able to read German. Please give the letter here.
The judge reads in silence for a few minutes before intoning.
Let it be known to the court that this letter indicates that one known as Johanna de Jardin is actually an Austrian woman by the name of Johanna von Holbein. The letter details little else of relevance.
Finally, you present the signet ring of the von Holbein family. Its sigil was used to seal both letters. Originally intended to allow Armand to escape the border to safety, it has now become the final nail in her coffin.
All of this evidence would suggest that this Madame von Holbein is the real leader of this Frankish Habsburgian Society. It would also mean that she has attempted to frame you as the real leader of this organization,
the judge says to you, the reality of the situation slowly dawning on him.
Sacre bleu! Gods, arrest that woman!
The judge screams in shock, pointing at Johanna.
What? No!
Johanna snaps as she's roughly seized at either shoulder by a pair of guards.
Do you think this is over? Do you insignificant fleas have any idea what I've sacrificed to get this far? Do you have any idea who? All you cretins had to do was admit for a single moment that you weren't the smartest people in the room. To admit that none of you have any idea what you're doing. But you couldn't even do that. This isn't the end. My ambition will not be contained. Not by you. Not by nations. Not even by God.
You are most fortunate then, Madame von Holbein. Your ambition will be ended by neither men, nations, nor the divine. It shall be ended by a guillotine! God, take her away! We'll arrange a proper trial for her crimes later.
Johanna glares at you, her eyes dripping with hatred. Enjoy the jail cells. I hear that they're lovely this time of year. Don't forget this moment, Johanna. I want you to remember it while you burn in hell! Honestly, I think the best insult I could pay her is to just, yeah, you're done. You no longer matter. Don't even look at her. Don't you ignore me! Don't you dare ignore me! Johanna screams as the guards drag her, kicking and screaming out of the courtroom. Like I said, the biggest insult you can pay a bitch like that is to just... Okay. Just be like, yeah, I'm done with you. You're no longer even in my mind. I am already forgetting that you ever existed. She fucked around and now she is gonna find out. Indeed!
As for you, Yvette Decaux, I have no choice but declare a mistrial and find you innocent of all charges.
The judge sighs.
A mistrial? Your Honor, surely you can't be serious. You will be silent unless you would like to join Madame von Holbein in a cell. I'm absolutely through with being contradicted in my own court today.
Prosecutor Fouquier slinks away at this reprimand, but not before he gives you a haughty sneer. You decide to favor him with your broadest and sweetest smile. Again, best way to deal with people who hate you. Hi. Bye.
This trial...
Hey, Margaret. What's up? I just got myself acquitted. I'm not gonna be guillotined. Woot, 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 woot.
This trial is over. Yvette Decaux, you are free to go.
Lost all of my peril. With a gesture to the guards, he finishes up the proceedings, and the crowd begins to file out of the courtroom. You follow them outside, eager to leave this place behind. Madame! You did it! You survived! Camille exclaims as she bends over to you and seizes you in a hug so fierce that it nearly crushes the breath from your lungs. Hey, Scriptgoat. With that, it feels like a great weight has been lifted from your shoulders. You did it. You're free. France is, of course, still in a state of chaos. Then again, you have a hard time remembering a time when it wasn't. You know, in the back of your mind, that nothing has changed materially. However, you can't help but feel like the dusk air tastes fresher than any other you've ever experienced. From the courthouse steps, you watch the sun set on Paris, and the city feels like an old friend. No longer do you feel like an intruding stranger. In fact, you feel like you could truly belong here if you so chose. You don't have everything you've ever dreamed of. Not yet, at least. At the same time, you have far more than you started with, and a whole world of possibilities ahead of you. You have your health, your good name, your wits, and of course, your ambition. The desire to make things better for yourself. Looking back, that's gotten you pretty far, hasn't it? Of course, while your own story comes to its close, the stories of others continue to be written, or are tragically cut short. A few days later, Johanna was executed. She wove a web to trap you, and soon found that she herself could not escape it. She made the foolish mistake of getting in your way, and suffered a suitable fate for doing so. However, they're singing Johanna's death. However, the rest of Paris still marches on, even as you reassert yourself and consider an appropriate way to celebrate your newly proven innocence. Who knows? Maybe you'll actually be the one throwing a party for once. Elizabeth, the great painter haunted by the malaise that sapped her inspiration and stifled her art. With the revolution's victory, she fled Paris with her daughter Julie to avoid prosecution as an associate of counter-revolutionaries. Eventually arriving in Rome, she found a new group of patrons. Later on, she'd write a memoir about her career and her friendship with Her Majesty, Queen Marie Antoinette. Ludovico, the priest pushed into the clergy against his will, who struggled with a higher calling that pulled against his desire to have the love and happiness afforded to the parishioners he himself led in prayer. Yeah, I never actually talked to this dude. Back in Rome, he was crushed to watch the revolutionaries tear apart what remained of the Catholic presence in France. Their land was confiscated, and even the churches were reconsecrated in the name of Robespierre's cult of the supreme being. Honorade, the opulent and domineering widow, who still grieved openly for her husband Charles, who passed away all those years ago. Even though she convinced her associates in the bourgeoisie to side with the revolutionaries, she still ran afoul of their courts. Charged with the crime of hoarding of goods, she managed to narrowly avoid the guillotine by hiring one of the best defense attorneys in the country. There is also Antoine, who we also didn't meet, the fiery revolutionary, who would stop at nothing to bring liberty to France. Even from the beginning, he burned with an ardor that threatened to become a raging inferno. The revolution may have been victorious, but Antoine and his views never reached the heights that he had hoped for. While he would remain an ardent supporter of the cause, his influence never extended beyond a small, fanatical few. Pierre, of course, survived the upheaval, because men like him have always been well equipped to survive anything that fortune might throw their way. Honest men may find themselves ill-prepared in times of unease, but dishonest ones are quite used to facing danger at every turn. Of course, that's usually because their dangers are entirely of their own creation. Oh, well, I'm glad Pierre survived, honestly. Like, yes, he's awful, but I'm glad he survived. He was terrible, but he was likable about it. While he may have toasted to the victory of the revolution and liberty, he's also been heard grousing to himself about the competition of newly founded political newspapers. Apparently, there is some writer named Monsieur Marat, who he finds particularly bothersome. Fatima, the enterprising dressmaker, who was the font from which much of your elegance flowed, has still managed to keep her shop open. Hey, good for her. However, with the revolution's victory, she's been forced to reorganize her new creations around the new wave of somber and restrained fashions that have come in vogue. Sartorial excess is simply no longer what it used to be. Aww. She looks so sad at not being able to do big fancy shit anymore. Ugh, all this obsession with modesty and being so serious. If this is what everyone wanted so badly, they should have just put my father in charge of the country. He's the roach? He is a roach, but he's a lovable roach. He's a weirdly charming roach. And of course there is Camille, your indefatigable handmaiden, who has been by your side since your first moments in Paris. Camille was overcome with joy to discover that not only did you survive your trial, but that you were intending on staying in Paris. In another turn of fortune, it was discovered that your landlord recently fled Paris in order to avoid prosecution for a staggering list of financial crimes. With no one to claim the building, you're now its de facto owner. So the grand arc of your story comes to a suitable close, with the sun proverbially setting on this chapter of your life. As the dust settles, you find yourself happily entwined with Elizabeth, the great painter who was once haunted by the malaise that sapped her inspiration and stifled her art. While you remained in Paris, Elizabeth had to flee to Rome. Her past ties to the monarchy made her extremely vulnerable, and she didn't want to risk endangering her daughter. Her husband has remained behind in the city in order to continue managing his business. As you and Elizabeth exchange increasingly amorous letters with each other, you consider the possibility of joining her in Rome. After all, the sunny climate might be good for you. And, as always, in Paris, life goes on. Is there no closing music? They didn't put music over the closing credits? What? What a weird-ass choices. What a weird-ass decision. Yeah. Ambition babies and ambition pets. That's cute. Ambition... Obviously, like... Probably babies born over the development of it, and, probably maybe pets adopted or something. So yay! I finished Ambition. So I will need to figure out what the next visual novel will be that I play on here. That's all. I mean, I guess the credits are pretty quick. And I mean, maybe it's just one of those things like, you know what? It might be one of those things where it's like, okay, the concert's over. Alright, so yeah, I need to figure out what the next game will be. Let's see here. Alright, so here are some options. These are some of the options I've got. Love Shore. Play as Sam or Farah as they attempt to navigate the neon city thrills of their cyberpunk city Love Shore. Solve murders, fight gods, and maybe fall in love. So it's got like some RPG elements to it, but it is still a visual novel. So there's that one. There's one that I played before. Four Horsemen. This one I've actually played before on my own. It's very interesting. An ambitious life sim about the parts of the immigrant experience everyone pretends to forget. It is about being... It's about a group of immigrants. Four teenagers who are like refugees and dealing with all sorts of shit. Another one that I've played off channel, A Foretold Affair. As a future seer, you know exactly who you're going to spend the rest of your life with. Unfortunately, it seems convincing them on that matter might not be so simple. Come to enjoy the journey in this amusing, exciting, and touching visual novel. That one was pretty fun. There's one that very recently came out. Chronotopia. Second Skin. That one just came out in October. A unique rewriting of the Donkey Skin fairy tale. A darker variation of Cinderella. Follow Kiana into a painful but ultimately rewarding search for her true self. Fairy tale princess dies, she gets better, love in the bargain. Princess Kiana runs away from runs away from her home. In order to look for Prince Charming to marry. The princess ceaselessly rewinds time in a race with death itself. Is a happy ending truly waiting for her at the end of the tunnel? animation, so that's one that I'm kind of leaning towards is Chronotopia. I'm sort of split on that just because it did just come out. I'm kind of split on whether to do that one. Neon Shore solving murders. Yeah, the Love Shore. Love Shore has very mixed reviews. Yeah. So yeah, Love Shore got pretty mixed reviews. Whereas Chronotopia has only 6 reviews total. Um, oh, actually, it's 14 reviews now. All of them do seem to be positive. All the reviews do seem to be positive, though. So it's got very, very few reviews, just because it hasn't been out for very long. Yeah, it hasn't been out for very long, but all the reviews it's gotten have been positive. Seems like it's kind of a dark one. So that one does seem like kind of a darker game. What are the content warnings on? Love Shore is sort of Love Shore is sort of cyberpunk, as a fair it is sort of set in a cyberpunk type of setting. So it's got some heavier shit too. Where's Vanna? She was here earlier. Including body horror, so that's great. So for the demo, the demo includes sex toys and sexual nudity. And a porn shop. Demo apparently included a porn shop for Love Shore. So yeah, I think the next game I play on channel, I think the next game I'll stream will be Chronotopia. So yeah, starting next week, I will start in on Chronotopia. A game that that apparently will basically open with attempted incest. So yeah, that'll be a fun time. Happy holidays, huh? Hey, Vanna. Yeah, the game opens. The main character, her father is trying to force her to marry him. So yeah, that's a great holiday game. Clearly, nothing says Christmas like fucking incest. So yeah, starting next week. Starting next week. For now, we have finished Ambition, a Minuet in Power. I was not able to get together with Anarad in the end. Tragic, really. Thinking it might be kind of fun to do some I might do some more runs of Ambition off channel, just like, you know, for myself, just to see how I can turn things out. Anyway, like I said, that's the end of Ambition, a Minuet in Power. Next week, we start on Chronotopia, Second Skin. And I will be back tomorrow, 2:30 in the morning, Eastern Time. So hopefully I'll see all 5 of you here tomorrow. The whopping 5 people who are watching me right now. So yeah. Thanks for watching, and good night, everybody.